Thank you, Mr. Davidson, for sponsoring this bill and allowing me to talk. The Biden administration's mortgage rule is the most recent in a long line of upside-down, crazy, absolutely crazy policies by this administration. Recently, the Federal Housing Finance Agency increased loan-level pricing adjustments for Americans with good credit scores and decreased the fees for the majority of Americans for people that have poor credit scores. That makes no sense. It's upside down, and it incentivizes people not to have good credit scores. Americans who have good credit scores and have been fiscally responsible should not be forced to effectively subsidize the loans of people with bad credit, especially in the middle of a cost of living crisis with still high inflation rates and rising home prices. The Middle Class Borrower Protection Act repeals this terrible policy and ensures that Americans are not unfairly punished for being fiscally responsible. You know, I have young adult children, and they struggle. They are not wealthy, as some of my Democratic colleagues have said, but they have struggled. They live paycheck to paycheck, but they try to have good credit scores. And one of them said to me, geez, with this crazy Biden policy of wanting to punish people with good credit scores so that they have to pay more to subsidize people with poor credit scores, why the heck should I work to have good credit scores? And that's what this administration is doing. This is like socialism. This is insane. And that's why I support Mr. Davidson's bill. That's why I support Americans who strive to be fiscally responsible.
Good afternoon, friends. This is crazy. Many top Republican lawmakers are demanding that big changes be made to government spending. This includes steep cuts that Democrats argue will drastically reduce government services. But some progressive lawmakers are insistent on increasing benefits, not cutting them. My dearest friends, please make sure that you watch until the end of this video for all of the new details. Also, in a video later today, I will be announcing several winners for the Walmart gift card giveaway. My dearest friends, if you would like to enter these weekly giveaways, please click and like several of my videos and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. The more videos that you watch and then comment on, friends, the greater your chances of winning the giveaways. Heading into a summer of spending fights, House Republicans are planning to use the same strategy that proved successful in raising a debt ceiling. Their approach will put to the test a second time as Congress comes under pressure to pass funding legislation to avoid a government shutdown in the fall. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy met with a group of key lawmakers that included conservative hardliners, lawmakers responsible for making spending decisions, and allies who helped negotiate deals to raise a debt ceiling. But House GOP Representative Dan Bishop in the House Freedom Caucus has been fighting for steeper spending cuts than the ones negotiated between Kevin McCarthy and President Biden as part of last month's deal to raise a debt ceiling. So this month, Republican Representative Matt Gaetz and other lawmakers blocked legislative action on the House floor to a week-long standstill, making clear that they are prepared to not pass legislation unless Speaker McCarthy accedes to their demands that funding return to last year's spending levels. These hardball tactics appear to be paying off. Top appropriators who typically do not like their colleagues meddling with the purse strings of the House said that they support introducing all 12 annual appropriations bills at funding levels lower than the Biden-McCarthy deal. Rules Committee Chairman Tom Cole said after meeting with Speaker McCarthy. "I think we should get the best spending deal we can. I regard the debt ceiling deal as a ceiling, not as a floor." The idea was echoed by Representative Garrett Graves, one of the people that Speaker McCarthy appointed to negotiate the debt ceiling deal. Conservatives' push to cut spending below levels spelled out in the debt deal is putting the House and Senate on a collision course just months before lawmakers need to fully fund the government. The money will run out on the last day of the fiscal year, which is September 30th, 2023, unless Republicans and Democrats can reach an agreement and pass additional funding. Senate appropriators this week said they plan to stick to the levels negotiated by Biden and Kevin McCarthy last month. McCarthy's strategy appears to mimic his approach during the debt ceiling fight, and that is draft legislation with the input of the entire GOP conference as a base for negotiating before considering any legislation that would require Democratic support. The most conservative Republicans are agitating for steep cuts that Democrats argue will drastically reduce or hinder government services. 5 of the 8 appropriations bills that have been released by the House Appropriations Committee were written to spend less than the 2022 fiscal year. But even Senate Republicans are very skeptical of the path their House counterparts are taking. Emerging from Kevin McCarthy's office, House Majority Leader Steve Scalise, a Republican from Louisiana, who controls the floor schedule, said, "The 12 spending bills will eat up much of the House schedule as lawmakers file amendments. The defense appropriations bill alone will probably have hundreds of amendments filed," he said. Senators Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren have led a group of lawmakers in unveiling legislation that will increase Social Security benefits by at least $200 per month and also prolong the program's solvency for several decades. This would be requiring wealthy Americans to pay their share. The Social Security Expansion Act, introduced by Sanders and Warren, the Social Security Expansion Act, introduced by Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, would put an additional $2,400 in beneficiaries' pockets each year, and also ensure the program is fully funded through the year 2096. The bill would also accomplish this by lifting the cap on the maximum amount of income, subject to the Social Security payroll tax. It is a change that would not raise taxes on 93% of U.S. households that make $250,000 or less per year. Currently, annual earnings above $160,200 are not subject to the Social Security payroll tax, which means that millionaires will stop contributing to the program later this month. The legislation proposes lifting this cap and subjecting all income above $250,000 per year to the Social Security payroll tax. The bill would have raised more than $3.4 billion from the nation's top 11 highest paid CEOs alone in 2021. Well, my beautiful and amazing friends, I will be announcing several winners for the Walmart gift card giveaway in a video later today. Please make sure that you do stay tuned for the video. Thank you, friends, and have a wonderful and very blessed Friday.